So what does your daily diet look like?
Oh
The
gosh.
doctor himself.
So today I had I had a protein shake because I went to this friend of mine's company called Essential Foods, Living Foods, and he had this. It was like a hemp, coconut, chia, moringa, like coconut cream, like protein
sounds
powder
amazing.
with lots of And I had a couple of that with a spoon of coconut butter for fat and almond butter for fat. And blended that up. That was my breakfast. And then lunch was I had a big salad with lots of avocado, olive oil, and some wild salmon, which has fat. So that was, and dinner I haven't had yet. So
Okay, cool. Awesome.
And dinner I'll usually have, a small piece of protein, and like I'll put 75% of my vegetable plate is vegetables.
Really?
So if I go out to eat, I'll order like 3 sides of vegetables, right? And if you look at your plate, by volume, 70 or 80% of your diet should be plant foods and non-starchy veggies, right?
Not potatoes and
And by calories, it should be like 50 to 60% fat. But fat doesn't take up a lot of space, so you can get a lot of calories in a little space and still eat, like if you put a lot of olive oil in your thing or eat coconut butter. So you don't have to worry about it. You just have to eat. And the trick is I don't worry about how much I eat. I just worry about what I eat. And I make sure I have stuff. Like I know that I'm going to be like here, and I know how long it's going to be. So I always bring stuff in my pocket. Almond butter.
Oh,
so I just have
nice.
a pocket. I know I'm never going to be in a food emergency, so I'm
Sure.
not going to have to eat something crappy. And I think, I eat very little grains, very little beans. I do eat them.
Yeah.
I eat mostly vegetables and some low glycemic fruit, and I eat lots of nuts and seeds, and I eat good quality fish and animal protein.
What's low glycemic fruit? What does that include?
So I'm not eating like tons of pineapple and grapes and like those are sugary things.
Gotcha.
And I eat like berries and I eat mostly berries, and then like I'll eat like an apples or pears sometimes, or kiwis or grapefruit or mangoes or papaya, things like that.
Nice. Okay. So let's go back to functional medicine.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean
So functional medicine is
compared to regular medicine?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if people listening really have a great understanding of like what's happening right now in science, but it's profound. That the shift that's happening in our understanding of the body it's like Columbus going, "Hey, the Earth isn't flat."
Wow.
And
right now, the last few years.
It's just like the last decade or two.
Okay.
With our understanding of the human genome, of systems biology, of the body as a biological network, as a system. It's like an ecosystem where everything's connected, working together. And so the way we organize medicine is according to these organs. You've got your cardiovascular system, your neurologic system, your GI system, and so you go to all these specialists. Right? And everybody treats their part of your body. If you have a migraine, we're actually learning that it might be related to gut flora, or if you have now we know that you might be getting cancer because of your gut bacteria. Well, no oncologist is asking you what's going on in your gut microbiome.
Right.
And so now we know, for example, like the microbiome is a great example of this disruption that's happening in healthcare. The microbiome, which is your gut flora, it's like 10 times as many cells as your own cells. It's 100 times as much DNA as your own DNA.
Huh.
So we're kind of lazy. We have about as much DNA as an earthworm.
Okay.
But we borrow the DNA of the microbes in our gut to do things for us. And we borrow things from plants to do things from us, like for example, glucosinolates. And so the microbiome is this huge thing that's got 2 to 3 million genes. We only have 20,000 genes. And it regulates your weight. You can swap out poop from a thin person into someone with diabetes and reverse it. Right?
Wow.
Amazing. We've seen people. I've heard stories of fecal transplants not only curing things like that, but like autoimmune diseases and
really
Parkinson's and people with MS and like crazy stories that I'm starting to hear. And there's research now going on aggressively in looking at fecal transplants for all sorts of diseases.
It's transferring poop from one person to another.
Yes.
What is that? How do you do that?
Well,
what's that process?
Well, they collect the poop. There's actually
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, you've never heard of this?
Never heard of this.
Oh my God, this is huge. So the
what is it called?
Fecal transplant.
Okay.
FMT, fecal microbial transplant. The way it came about was some doctor had a bright idea that there was this condition called C. diff, which is an infection of the intestines that happens after antibiotics, is life-threatening. And there's a huge amount of people are now resistant to antibiotics because of all the antibiotics in our feed and in the animal production. So the drugs don't work. People die.
Wow.
And somebody thought, well, gee, if I put the poop from a healthy person into a sick person, let's see what happens. And the doctor did it, and the person was cured like that.
Shut up.
98% effective. 98% effective.
So how do you do this? I
So-
don't understand this process.
You want to get into it?
Give me
Well,
the 10.
we can do the
20-second
visuals.
version.
We can do-
Yes.
So basically, they take a fecal transplant specimen, like a donor specimen from a healthy person, and they screen them for all sorts of diseases, and then they spin it up with some saline, and then they inject it in with a
Straight up.
catheter or a colonoscope.
And then
They actually also
it just heals inside, or what's it do when it's?
Well, it goes in. It's like massive probiotics, right?
Oh, interesting.
Right? Yeah, and so
It's like an infusion of probiotics.
And also there are actually pills now. They actually are making special
pills.
encapsulated poop pills. And it's not, I mean, this is published in the New England Journal of Medicine. I'm not talking about like stuff that's
Oh my
wacky. I'm talking
gosh.
about serious medicine that people are doing. But it's not just for that. Now they're looking at it for all sorts of things. So
People are cured right after one infusion.
yeah, it's amazing. So functional medicine is really
nuts.
understanding the body as a system and network, and understanding that the focus should not be on treating disease, but on creating health. So it's the science of creating health. It's the ultimate biohacking tool. And it's interpreting all the data and the stories from your body that it tells through testing we do. For example, you don't have to do testing, but you can look into the body and look at your immune function and allergies and your gut flora and toxins and nutritional status. It's like doing a soil sample. So I'm like a soil farmer, organic soil farmer, rather than an industrial agriculturist. I don't put all these chemicals on my plants to make them better, like herbicides and pesticides. I create a healthy soil, and then disease doesn't occur, right? Disease can't land in a healthy soil.
Right.
So that's exactly what functional medicine is. We help people get in balance. We take away the things that cause imbalance. We put in the things that help create balance. So, for example, I had a woman come. She had a whole list of problems. That's why I call myself a holistic doctor, because I take care of people with a whole list of problems. So she had like psoriatic arthritis, was on a drug that cost $30,000.
Oh my gosh.
Called Stelara. And still was miserable. She also was overweight, had prediabetes, migraines, sinus problems, irritable bowel, reflux, depression, insomnia. She had like this whole list of things. Of course, she saw all these specialists: the sinus doctor, the migraine doctor,
Right.
the autoimmune doctor, the skin doctor, the depression doctor, the gut doctor. Everybody's treating her with their best practices.
It's their best drug, probably.
But I mean, she's being seen at a top medical center.
Yeah.
Right? They're not doing bad medicine. They're doing standard of care. In fact, they're doing excellent standard of care.
Right.
But the standard of care is not the way we're going to fix these problems.
it's outdated, or it's not.
It's not. It's totally outdated. So rather than thinking about how all these were separate, I thought, how are these all connected?
Interesting.
Right? How are these all connected? And so there were connections. It was all inflammatory. And I said, well, why don't we put you on an anti-inflammatory, low glycemic diet, the Pegan diet, basically.
Right.
Took away anti-allergens, and I cleaned out her gut, because her gut was causing huge symptoms of bloating, and she had yeast reactions. She had like vaginal yeast and anal yeast and itching and itchy ears and yeast everywhere.
That's from the
yeast on her mouth and thrush. And so I gave her an antifungal. I gave her stuff to clear out the bad bugs in her gut. I put in good bugs. I put in enzymes. I put in things to heal the gut lining. I gave her fish oil, vitamin D, just some basic stuff, probiotics.
Yeah, but it's really eliminating
the
things
bad
that she was
foods,
eating
eliminating the bad bugs in her gut,
and putting
in new bugs, and putting in nutrients to help her body heal. 2 months later, she comes back completely symptom-free.
No way.
No more arthritis. No more $30,000 drug. No more skin psoriasis. No migraines. No sinus problems. No irritable bowel. No reflux. No depression. No insomnia. And she lost 20 pounds.
It was all from food.
Totally. And what was food and her gut flora?
Right.
I focused on her gut flora. Why? Because 60% or 50% of the immune system is in the gut.
Interesting.
Yeah, why? Why is it in the gut? Why is it there? Because you're sticking pounds of food, of foreign material every day in your body.
It's got to fight it off in your gut first,
right?
And
you've got all like bugs in there and poop.
Right.
It's like a danger zone, right? It's like you're like, and it's 1 cell away. Like you're 1 cell away from a sewer every minute.
Really?
Yeah, it's 1 cell between you and that mass of food and poop, right? So your immune system is like, if anything happens, like right there. Wow. So when people have autoimmune disease, it's often a gut issue. It's often a gut issue.
People didn't know this before, did they?
No. So now all this is really coming to light, and functional medicine is the operating system to interpret the data. It's a new set of lenses to think about how to solve it, and it's a system of treatment that helps people get back in balance.
Gotcha.
That's what's powerful. And then at Cleveland Clinic, the CEO of Cleveland Clinic, Toby Cosgrove, I call him the Wayne Gretzky of healthcare. He goes where the puck's going to be, not where it is.
Smart.
Right? And he's basically came after me to go set up a center there. And I'm
Functional medicine center.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not going to Cleveland Clinic. It's like it's like I'm not going to go to a place where I'm going to have to bang my head against the wall, where it's traditional medicine, where they don't get this, where they're in the dark ages. I just
It's also known as one of the top hospitals in the world.
Of course, but it's the
right?
top hospital in the old model.
Yes.
Right? So I'm like, but he knows what's happening.
He sees where it's going.
He knows what's happening. He's like, we need this here.
Wow.
And so he's investing tons of money, millions and millions of dollars, building this. We're building an 18,000 square foot facility. We started with a little space and we just outgrew it. We're hiring doctors. I have an interview with the doctor right after this. And we're basically growing. We're doing research in all sorts of conditions. We're changing medical school education. We're changing policy. We're doing community work.
Amazing.
So he's really putting us on the map in the traditional world. And
because he's going to go out of business if he doesn't start doing this.
But what's amazing to me, Louis, I thought when I got there, people would be, skeptical, negative, make it difficult for me and my team there. But it's the opposite. And they want
to learn.
Last week when I was there, I had 2 deans of medical schools, 2 chairs of institutes, which are like big deals,
right,
and another doctor as patients.
No way.
Yeah, they're coming as patients.
Because they're not being cured with the medicine.
The executive team, the C-suite team, is sending all their family members to come see us.
Do you know Dr. Lissa Rankin by any chance?
Yeah.
She's been on as well, and she talked about how she had all this medication she was treating herself, and then started just saying, let me just change the way I eat and my relationships and my emotional health.
Exactly. It's
all. And she's I got off all the medicine.
That's right.
And then I stopped giving medicine to my patients. Right. I started asking them deeper questions.
It's so powerful. So we're at this. We're at this fulcrum. It's not just I'm like one lone doctor with a crazy idea. There's a whole movement going on here. Yeah. We had dinner with James Maskell. He's helping move that movement forward. I'm the chairman of the Institute for Functional Medicine, where we train doctors all over the world in this model, an operating system of how to actually do this in practice. So we are literally building an army of doctors to change healthcare, and it's pretty exciting, and it's actually starting to really hit that hockey stick point where it's changing.
Amazing.
People want it. I mean, people are desperate for this model.
So if someone is listening and they're on some type of medication, or they're just feeling like constantly sick, something's constantly happening to them, what do you think is, because there's so much information online that it's scary.
It's scary, right.
Well, here's what I would say. Stuff, just like looking up anything and Googling it and seeing all the nasty photos and just like, what is an approach that someone should take if they have some challenge that's constantly happening in their health? Should they first analyze the food they're intaking and do like an analysis? Do you have like a process?
Absolutely. It's a great question, Louis. So, what I am is a doctor. And what I do is see patients in my office. That's my main job. Yes, I've written a dozen books. Yes, I do a lot of stuff, but that's my main job.
Yeah.
And so I've learned over 30 years of doing this how to create sustainable, practical programs to help people get from sick to well very quickly. And what I've done, because not everybody can come see me, and there aren't that many of us out there yet.
You have so many hours in a day.
And there's not that many functional medicine. So I've written books and programs to help people operationalize this in their own life. So Eat Fat, Get Thin, and I'm I could say do my program, but I don't really care what program you do as long as it's based on the basic principles. And there are a lot of my colleagues who are writing great books about this. It's all the same information because it's all the same science. And if you're telling the truth, there's only one story here, the truth, right? And so this Eat Fat, Get Thin is a great program that I put together to make people have no friction. It's easy. It's very straightforward.
It's 21 days,
21 days, practical, goof-proof, and it tells you what to eat. And when you get to the end of that, you'll see how you feel, because most people in 21 days will change their habits, but they'll also allow their body to reset. It's like putting your body back to its original factory settings, right? And then if something's left over, then maybe I need to go deeper. Like if you still don't feel great, maybe you have Lyme disease. Maybe you have heavy metal poisoning. Maybe your thyroid's not working. Maybe you have a parasite. Maybe, you could be eating the perfect diet but still feel bad. So
do the 21 days first.
Yeah, but 80% of the time,
you're going to cure yourself.
80%. 80% of the time, this works for people, and then the 20% who have to get extra help, they need to come see somebody.
And the body's pretty incredible in how it can heal itself very quickly once you change habits, right?
Unbelievable. We did the survey of 1,000 people who did this. I mean, they lost weight, yes, and they lost inches, yes, and that's all impressive. And their blood sugar dropped 20 points, and their blood pressure 10 points. But the thing that really matters to me is I have everybody fill out what I call the FLC quiz. You know what that is? That's when you feel like crap.
Okay.
So it's a quiz. How do you do you have bloating? Do you have asthma? Do you have headaches? Can you sleep? Like joint pain, muscle pain? What's your mood? Are you depressed? Like, so you fill this whole score and 0 to 4 for every symptom, and you get a score. They do one before and after. And the before and after score, there was a 69% reduction in all symptoms from all diseases.
Whoa.
Because you don't have to treat everything individually. If you put in the right information, like I said at the beginning of the show, the body knows what to do.
Wow.
Right? So the information in food is so powerful that if you figure out what to eat, you don't have to worry about how much. You don't have to count fat, grams, carbs, calories, nothing. I don't do that. I don't have time for that.
Right.
And I don't want to be on an app all day figuring it out. I just want to know how to get my body to naturally do what it's supposed to do.
Sure.
Right? If you're off by 100 calories a day, you're going to gain like 50 pounds in 30 years. Right? You can't do it by willpower. You have to use science. And the science of using fat and low glycemic food, like low sugar food, is really powerful. It's magical. Right. I mean, I notice my own body. I'm like 56, and I notice
you look young, man. You're like fit, healthy, energetic.
No, well, I can tell you, I was always been focused on health, but I was the doctor who was trained to eat low fat and to tell my patients to eat low fat, and I did that. And I also ate a lot of things that I thought were healthy, like pasta was a health food.
Oh my gosh,
pasta was a health food.
I used to eat so much pasta.
Yeah, health food, right? Low fat, health food
all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And so I basically changed that, and I started eating a lot less starch, a lot less sugar, a lot more fat, and I noticed my body, like, without any exercise, I'm like so lean, so fit.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, I got a six-pack and I didn't even work out. It's like, and it's just stunning what happens when you do, and my brain is clear, I have more energy, my mood's better. Yeah. I mean, I know I saw you're drinking a bulletproof coffee. You know that it works.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I started testing some different things at the beginning of this year in January. And the first week I did no sugar. The second week, no sugar, no gluten.
Yeah.
Third week, no sugar, no gluten, no dairy. Fourth week, no sugar, no gluten, no dairy, no meat. That was last week. And I was just to see what happened with my body.
Pulling a Band-Aid off slowly.
Yeah, I should have just done it all.
It's better to do it the other way. The way I do with my patients, you do a detox. Basically, you get off everything
at once.
You feel bad for a couple of days, and then you see how you feel.
I feel amazing, yeah.
Because one of the rules of...
I should have talked to you before this about what I was thinking.
And then you can add things back one at a time and see what bothers you.
Interesting.
So, because the rule in functional medicine is if you're standing on attack, it takes a lot of aspirin to make it feel better, right? So if something's bothering you, you have to get rid of the cause. But if you're standing on two tacks, taking one out doesn't make you 50% better.
Very interesting.
So if you're allergic to dairy and gluten, but you just take out gluten, you're not going to feel better.
Right. So I did it the whole wrong way. Oh, well. It was an experiment. But the thing what I was going to mention was I started doing bulletproof in the morning.
Yeah.
And fasting until 1:30.
Yeah.
And not eating after 9:30 or whatever it is at night. And I realized that I wasn't hungry in the mornings when I would do the coffee. And I would only have like half a cup only.
Yeah.
And I would be fine until 1:30, 2 o'clock.
MCT oil puts you in ketosis, which is medium chain triglycerides. It's a super fuel. It comes from coconut, which is in the coffee. It's what I recommend as part of my Eat Fat, Get Thin program. Speeds up your metabolism. Even
you're burning fat.
Yeah, it actually makes your metabolism work faster and burn more calories. Wow. And it also affects your brain. So your brain is more alert, focused, and clear.
If anybody is out of shape, or is carrying too much weight, those are the easiest things and most likely to work is to lose some of that excess weight and get moving. These things are known to greatly improve your immune system and including lowering inflammation.